Here's part 16, continuing from part 15, focusing on Elias and Maribel solidifying their new life, facing lingering threats, and establishing a permanent home. Part 16, Building a Future. Spring had fully settled over the mountains. Snow had receded into shaded valleys, revealing the rich, dark soil and the promise of new life. Birds returned, filling the crisp air with song, and streams gurgled with thawed waters. For Elias Hart and Maribel Finhollow, the world had begun to breathe again. The cabin in the valley had been transformed over the weeks. Elias had reinforced the walls, built an additional storage shed, and carved out a small loft for Maribel to use as a workspace. Outside, a cleared garden patch waited for planting. Maribel spent hours tending to it, testing the soil, preparing beds for vegetables and herbs. She moved with purpose, her hands roughened from the work, but her eyes bright with pride. Calder and Pike patrolled the perimeter daily, ensuring no remnants of Collister's men lingered nearby. Occasionally, scouts returning from the mountains would report tracks, but no threat had come close enough to challenge them. The valley had become a sanctuary, not just from enemies, but from the past. A quiet morning. One morning, Maribel stood at the edge of the garden, surveying the plot of tilled earth. She ran her fingers over the soil, feeling its warmth beneath her palms. Elias approached quietly, hatchet over his shoulder, a bundle of firewood in his other hand. "You're up early," she said, turning with a smile. "I couldn't sleep," he admitted. "Too quiet. Almost makes me nervous." Maribel laughed softly, brushing a stray curl from her face. "After everything, you're nervous about peace." Elias shrugged. "It's unnatural. But I like it." He knelt beside her, inspecting the soil. "This will grow well. Carrots, beans, maybe even some cabbage. You'll be able to cook hearty meals soon." Maribel's eyes sparkled. "I can't wait. I've dreamt of having a kitchen of my own, of planting things that aren't just weeds or survival rations." Elias smiled, brushing his thumb over her hand. "We'll make it happen. This is ours. Every bit of it." Visitors in the outside world. Weeks passed, and with the valley thawing, they began to encounter travelers and nearby settlers. Some brought news. Collister's reach had been fractured, his remaining men scattered or in hiding. The world beyond the mountains was cautiously returning to normal, but whispers of the auction in Elias' stand had begun to spread. Maribel was wary of strangers at first, but Elias encouraged her to meet the travelers. "We can't hide forever," he said. "We survived because we faced the world, not because we ran from it. The world may still hold danger, but it also holds people who can help." One afternoon, a group of mountain traders arrived with supplies. They were cautious at first, but Maribel's warmth and Elias' calm authority eased their fears. By evening, the cabin was filled with laughter and conversation, a rare sound in a place that had known too much silence. Maribel realized how much she had missed connection, the simple trust of strangers, the camaraderie that came with sharing a fire. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging beyond survival. Securing their home. Elias and Calder began constructing a series of small fortifications around the valley, a watchtower, hidden trenches, and signal fires. While the threat of Collister had lessened, Elias refused to leave their safety to chance. Pike taught Maribel how to handle a rifle safely, how to track signs in the snow, and how to move silently through the woods. She absorbed the lessons quickly, her confidence growing each day. She was no longer just a survivor, she was a protector, ready to defend her home if needed. One evening, as the sun set over the mountains, painting the valley in gold and rose, Maribel approached Elias while he worked on the new watchtower. "Do you ever think about the auction?" she asked softly. Elias paused, wiping sweat and sawdust from his brow. "Not often," he said carefully. "But when I do, I remember why we fight. Why we survive. Why we protect this life we've built." Maribel's eyes glistened. "I never want to go back to that world. I want this life. With you. With all of us." Elias dropped the tool and took her hands in his. "Then we make sure nothing and no one ever takes it from us. Together. Always. A future together." Over the next few months, the valley became more than a sanctuary, it became home. The garden flourished, the cabin stood strong, and Maribel began to teach herself new skills, learning to sew, cook, and craft. The winter fire had forged her resilience, the spring sun nurtured her hope. Elias watched her grow into a woman unshaken by fear, a partner in every sense of the word. Calder and Pike became more than allies. They became family, sharing in labor, laughter, and the unspoken bonds formed in survival. One evening, Maribel stood on the ridge overlooking the valley, watching the sun dip below the peaks. Elias joined her silently, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Look at it," she whispered. "All of this, ours." Elias nodded. "Everything we've fought for, we've earned. And it's just the beginning." Maribel leaned her head against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "I never thought I'd live to see a day like this." "You have," Elias said softly. "And we'll make countless more. Days of peace, of life, of freedom. Just us, together." The mountains stretched endlessly before them, silent and eternal witnesses to their survival, courage, and love. The shadows of their past had receded into the valleys, leaving space for hope to grow. Maribel smiled, truly smiled, for the first time in years. And for the first time in years, she believed in a life that wasn't just about surviving, but living. The fire from their hearth crackled behind them, warm and steady. Outside, the wind whispered through the pines, gentle and kind. For Elias and Maribel, for Calder and Pike, the mountains no longer held fear. They held a future, a home, a life reclaimed. If you want, I can continue with part 17, where they finally begin to expand their home, cultivate the valley, and integrate with nearby settlers, while lingering threats from Collister's remnants add tension to their new life. Do you want me to continue with part 17?